Hi friend, I just wanted to take a minute to invite you to our Lash Biz Babes Experience 2026. This is a one-day all online event happening on May 2nd, and our theme for the year is going all in. We are shaking things up and doing it differently than anyone ever has before. This is going to be an all online event as usual, but it's going to be 100% a curated journey throughout your day as we guide you through the mindset, strategy, and passion needed to go all in on your business to make it your best year in business yet. All lash artists, estheticians, and beauty professionals are invited to join us. There will be guided sessions, interactive workshops, a panel discussion, and big giveaways happening throughout that whole day. And tickets are on sale now for only $199. Payment plans are available. Let's go all in on our businesses for 2026 together. All the details and the link for tickets are down in the show notes below. I would love to have you join us online in May. Welcome to Lash Biz Babes, the podcast for solo beauty business owners who want to build a full clientele and create a business and life that they truly love. My name is Erica. I'm your host. I'm a lash artist turned beauty business coach, lash educator, and social media manager for salons and beauty businesses. I'm so happy that you're here. Let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. All right, you guys, welcome to this week's episode. I'm so excited to bring on my friend Bryce on the show today. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She's the founder and creator of the newest industry fanning method, the unstripped method. Her story is one that she's sure a lot of women can resonate with, and it's a testament of strength, growth, and not letting the past define you. She just launched the start of her official new tweezer line, the Strip Tweeze Collection Tease Tweezer. Now say that 5 times fast. I love it. Well, welcome to the show, Bryce. I'm really excited to finally have you on. She's been one of our speakers at Lash Biz Babes conference for the past 2 years, and it's about time we have her on the show. Welcome.
Hello, how are you? And I'm so excited to be here because, after doing Lash Biz Babes twice now and just getting to know you is so fun. And hopefully this, can resonate with some women out there who need a little support.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to start out with a little bit of a trigger warning here, just because she is going to share her story, and I think it goes a little deep, and we just wanted to put that at the beginning in case there might be anyone listening who could be potentially sensitive for this. So heads up. I would just love for you to kind of tell us a little bit about how you got started in the industry and how we'll start there. How did you get started in the industry?
Yes. So I have kind of a story similar to a lot of people in that aspect. Kind of. So I was in high school and I'm kind of a high school dropout a little bit, but in the sense that I just dropped out to go do independent study. I was not a school person. I didn't like it. And I got the opportunity to go to beauty school during my senior year of high school through my stepmom, actually, who was doing something called like an ROP program, one of those school programs where you only have like $1,000. I always like to say this too, because I was a high school dropout. I was only going to school maybe like 3 days out of the week. I hated it.
That sounds nice.
I definitely got a lot of truancy letters, but so started beauty school, and it was definitely something that was resonating with me because it was like, okay, I can use my hands here and I can get creative rather than just sitting in a classroom and like learning math. That was not my strong suit, or especially like writing an essay. Can't do it. So started with that, and I was kind of falling in love with the hair industry and getting really good at color and everything. And then I got kicked out of beauty school for truancy.
Oh, shocker. I'm like, Bryce.
I know.
But yeah, that's not surprising.
My mom was very upset with me because then to get back in, I had to pay the full amount to get back in. It wasn't $1,000 anymore. Now, back then it was only $6,000. I was at a really janky beauty school, but she was still very upset, and I begged her, like, please, I realize now where I've messed up and I want to do this. And so, just kind of got myself back in. I had to prove myself to my teachers and my mother, and ended up graduating high school and beauty school kind of about 6 months earlier than I should have, because I was kind of going beauty school full time while I was doing the independent study. And from there, we'll get more into it, but that's where kind of shit hit the fan a little bit.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize quite yet that it was hitting the fan until I got my license and got the opportunity to work at a lash salon. So I was thinking in terms of like, well, I love hair, but this place is about to hire me and they're going to teach me lashes. So I'll go work there, you know, easy peasy. And it was the traditional chain salon that we've all heard about from 10 years ago, where they hide blue labels and they take off the labels off the lash trays and,
Yeah.
only 40 lashes per eye kind of thing. Um,
Yep.
yeah, we
Been there,
all,
done that.
if you've been there, you know it. But then the second incident happened right when I was starting at that job, and it just kind of turned into a place of toxicity for about a year and a half where I'm trying to heal myself. I'm trying to figure out my place in this industry, figure out something that I can create for myself because I am not a college person. I didn't have that option either financially or like emotionally. It wasn't going to work. And it was just kind of like this trial and error and then getting written up for different things at that job because I was the person who pushed back on the boundaries. And yeah, it was just kind of like I love what I do, but I hate where I work, you know?
Yep. Yep. That was me. I've been there, been in those shoes before, so I understand that.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
And one of those things that you got written up for was creating the unstripped method, isn't that correct?
Is yes.
So
So
tell us about that.
yeah. So they taught me, well, did they even teach me? I don't know. It was more like okay, here's your first week of training. Go watch her and copy it. And that was it. So thank God I'm a visual learner because I wasn't taught the way. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can figure out how to do that. But yeah, it's a lot of ups and downs. And who my quote unquote mentor was, the lead artist that was teaching me, she was doing pinching. And I tried and I tried and I hated it so much. One, I was like, isn't this kind of gross? Like we're touching the lashes with our fingertips, and we're not wearing gloves here. Like, but you're
Yeah.
telling me we can't get oils on the lashes because that was also back when it was like, don't get them wet for 24 hours and all of those rules. But so logically, it wasn't making sense. Physically, I was like, I just can't do this. And how it was back then too is they give you these janky tweezers and janky products. And I got a pair of janky tweezers and I was just playing around at home because again, I loved what I did. But also at the same time, they wanted me to be doing 10 to 12 clients a day and a new set in 30 minutes. And the
Mm.
pace was just not working at all.
Just like
So
entry to the industry by fire.
but then yeah, so I was playing around and it just worked, wrapped it around my finger, and I was like, okay, well, the lashes are kind of pre-fanned out here. So that's a start. And it of course started with a little bit of a shimmy. I always like to deteriorate the idea that the unstripped method is a shimmy method because it is not, right? I know you saw it for yourself too, that it's
Yeah, it was so cool to see it in person finally, like in
yes.
action.
Yeah, that you really see how it's that 1, 2, 3 motion. And
Mhm.
yes, it was born from a shimmy, but it kind of adapted
Yeah.
that on its own. And that's where they didn't like that because it one allowed me to put more than 40 lashes per eye.
Oh,
And I also, people would get mad about that. They didn't want to pay for something that they can't see. So I was doing too many lashes because I had the method. And then they were like, well, we have standards to meet and you're supposed to be following the policies that we have and the way that we do things. So they wrote me up for being too creative, essentially.
all right. Which is kind of
So,
hilarious considering they wanted you to do that set in that time frame and then got mad at you for finding a way to
to do
like
it. Yeah.
efficiently lash faster.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't
Crazy.
know what you guys expect from me. And I'll say this too. I mean, back then my work was not what it is now. You know,
None of
any
ours was.
3 minutes is going to like try. But it's kind of adapted now that like when I left there and went to my own station, then I kind of cut it back to 8 people. And I've slowly cut it back now because I'm also running the salon and the staff and all the things that
Mhm.
max I'm doing about 4 people a day, but I'm still taking only an hour to an hour and a half.
I was gonna say 4 people a day is still quite like that was always like my max. Like
And
after a
that's a
while,
lot of
that's like my sweet spot, 3 to 4 people a day.
people. I find it was actually funny the other day. I had a client and she was like, I need to be done in like 40 minutes. And I was like, all right, let me just get in the game because I can pull that.
Cracking your knuckles. Well, let's
I'm
do
like,
it.
let me channel 18-year-old Bryce real quick.
I love it. That's funny. But I mean, that's what you can do though sometimes in those situations when you have tools in your tool belt like the unstripped method because you have the ability and the skills to still like quality lash them in a shorter time frame
Yeah.
because it
And
is
it's
a
okay.
way to
You're
lash
not cutting
faster.
corners, you know, you're
Yeah.
just, yeah, using those tools again. And then I think it also plays into like when you need to pull out that speed mentality, that's a big part of it too. Like if
Yeah.
I need to be fast, I can channel that version of myself that's like, all right, we're hustling, you know?
I love that. Yeah, for sure. So once you left that studio, kind of how did that go down? Like, did you go out on your own? Did you like where did you go next?
Yes. So that salon, the chain salon, was kind of one of those places that if you quit, they try to sue you. So, and they did it with
Yep.
everyone that quit. And you know how that was back then too.
Yeah.
So,
Send my attorney after you. That's what I got told anyway.
well, I got a cease and desist. So like
Oh, there you go.
they
Nice.
actually tried, and it was one of those like I told them like, oh, I'm going back to school, so I'm just gonna quit lash. God forbid they ever hear this because I'm outing myself, but it's been long enough. But that's where I was very adamant, like I didn't give my information to anyone. I had the benefit that my name is Bryce and I'm a lash artist, you know, so that's kind of what I told the clients there was like, my name's Bryce and I'm in the Bay Area of California. You do what you will with that information. And to my surprise, quite a few of them were able to find me. They called salons. It's easy
Love
to
that.
find a Price, right? You know, that's like
Yeah.
that's just luck. But it was then that after like a few people were canceling their memberships over at the other place that they called me or they've sent me the cease and desist because they had proof. But what I was doing is I went to a hair salon that had a little like 5 by 8 foot nook. It didn't have a door. The bed
Yeah.
stuck way out of the nook. I was paying $800 a month for it, which is insane, you
For
know,
what it
but
was, yeah.
and I will say that salon did me well in a lot of ways. The owner was amazing. It just started to shift after about another year or so, where it kind of like the toxicity came from the other people that worked there,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And that's where it just reminded me again, like, I can't be in this environment anymore. Like, I just kind of found myself out of that while I was trying to heal. I'm still healing, even though I don't realize it yet, you know, but that's what then led to the opening of Unstripped at 21 years old. Cause it was just like, I need something where people can be happy to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're setting the intention and the energy and like the vibe of the studio.
Yeah. And I
Absolutely.
want to like keep it that way too. So that was kind of the main goal of Unstripped was like a positive, supportive, inclusive environment for women to come to get service and women to work at, you know, where we can all
Yeah.
support each other. And then it wasn't again until like 2 years ago when I kind of realized from having another trigger myself of, okay, this is what I'm doing this for, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, I don't want to like vague.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And it's interesting though, because like I hear that a lot of like places, salons and stuff being toxic. So I love that you are trying to make it an empowering and supportive place, not just for the clients, because obviously we want the clients to feel that way, but also for your team too, and like whoever was working there. Because even like I was recently, like a couple weeks ago, I had a girl reach out and she's like, this owner's done a lot for me, but it's kind of there's some red flags and I'm not sure if I'm gaslighting myself and I don't know if I should leave. And then it's kind of like, well, it served its purpose and now you can go spread your wings in your next spot. And like you don't have to look at it as a negative thing, more so just like this is can be the close of this chapter and I can move on and leave that in the past. And I think it's
Yeah.
sad that that does happen as often as it does in the industry, but I think it's cool what can be born out of these hard and these difficult circumstances, which obviously you're going to talk about how
I want to
unstripped,
touch on kind of what you just said real quick, because like there's a
Yeah.
lot of girls in this position right now. Do I leave my spot? I know we're kind of like veering off onto another side, but as a salon owner 5 years now, who has dealt with renters, dealt with commission artists, now I'm making the venture into, the team base, but it's like I've had the employees, the renters, I've tried different things. And there's moments where it gets hard. It gets hard to run the salon. You kind of get frustrated with your team here and there, and you have to really contain yourself as the owner of that salon to like not put that on your team. And there's been quite a few moments where I feel like I'm about to burst on them, and I have to contain myself. And then I sit there and I'm like, I get it now. I get why I was treated that way a long time ago. They just couldn't tell themselves to not put it on us, kind of thing. So I think that's just a thing to remember, as if you're in that position.
Yeah.
Your owner's probably stressed the hell out a little bit too. And it's like it's not fair and it shouldn't be happening, but it can be just like a little insight into why.
Yeah.
That.
That makes sense. It reminds me of parenting, which I know you're not a mom,
I'm not a
but
mom. I can only
it's like so stressful being a parent. And it's also just like, okay, sometimes you have those outbursts or like you get upset with your kids, but then it's also like, I don't know. I always try and check myself. I'm not perfect at this, but it's like, okay, my kid is acting age appropriate. And I have to kind of like learn to regulate my own emotions when I'm handling them. And like you were saying with I don't know, outbursts and things like that or whatever. Like, it's so hard when you're like stressed and it's difficult.
actively try to remember, like,
Yeah.
find other resources, find therapy, whatever you need to like not,
Mm-hmm.
because
What?
that's it's gonna spread. It's like a cancer, it just spreads through.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
And it's all in the leadership side of the
mhm.
salon ownership life. It's yeah.
And it
Yeah.
can get hard, because I know we're gonna talk about it more, but like, yeah, when you are in the position of owning the salon or having to be the leader and you're not having a good day, it's like you still have to show up like you are having a good day, and that's kind of been a
Yeah.
personal battle for me, is like, if I'm because I even had a recent trigger to all my stuff like last year, and I had a really hard time not bringing it into the salon, and they're gonna feel it. They're gonna feel that something's off with you, but you still have to like contain yourself and remember that your team is not your friend. You can be friendly with your team and you can be a good leader, but you can't be friends with your team.
Right.
And so it's hard when you're in there because you want to burst out a little bit of what's going on with you, but you can't, So that's kind of an interesting
Yeah.
journey to
No, I like that. I mean, I think it's good to have those insights into what that is like, especially if there's anyone listening who maybe is considering salon ownership or maybe they are a salon owner, like you're not alone. And I
Find
mean, I always like hearing different insights from people because everyone has their own experiences and perspectives. And I feel like that's what makes this industry really cool is that we all can come together and know that we aren't alone on all of that and share our different experiences with it. And I mean, I wasn't ever like full-fledged salon owner, but I did have a couple girls who worked in my studio with me, and I can empathize with you on some of the things that I think one thing that was more difficult for me was like I loved my girls that worked with me, but just the extra clients and managing all the clients and stuff that was a lot because it all falls back on you.
yes, yeah.
So
And
I'm sure you know how that goes.
even when you have renters and
Yeah.
independent, the clients don't understand that. They just think it's all
Mm-hmm.
umbrella of the salon. So they're calling you with a problem that your independent contractor has, and you're like, well, I can't. You got to call them. Like they're their own business here. There's positives and negatives to both models.
Well, thanks for sharing all those little insights with it. With the unstripped method, for anyone who's never heard of it before, tell us a little bit about what exactly it is and what it does. Just give us the introductory spiel here.
Basically, it's the fanning method that I created, out of turmoil and whatnot. But essentially, you are wrapping the strips around your finger, your index finger. And it's basically designed to get you a snatched base fan in under 3 seconds. So you don't have to perform the extra work like you would with pinching. You have to like correct it in the flower cup or flower bouquet. You have to really actually form it in the glue tray. Off the strip, that's just one that I just don't even like to talk about because it just takes way too long. You don't have to do all those things because as soon as you take the lashes off that strip in that third motion, you are getting a snatched base fan that's ready to go, ready to be dipped. And it's basically performed through what I like to call the signature 1, 2, 3 motion. It's just 3 simple micro movements. You can really see how it turns into that like solidified movements. And each movement has its own direction that you have to follow, as well as hand positioning that you have to follow. But once you get it down and you can perform it quickly because it is designed to be performed fast, then yeah, you're getting that 3-second fan. On average, I can apply about 4 lashes a minute, sometimes 6 with this method. That really helps, increase the overall time of the set as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. And like I said, it was really cool to finally like see it in action, like in person. Cause I mean,
Mm,
I've watched your videos and stuff with it, but like just how fast it can actually be done, like
yeah.
more than one, like you said, in a minute. Really, really cool. So tell us a little bit about how you created this method or what made you feel like you needed to create something different.
So like I was saying before with being taught the pinching and stuff, it was kind of like out of necessity. And then I'm also a challenger of ideas. If I don't agree with something, I'm going to find my own way to do it.
We're learning that today.
But that's kind of where that came from is it's almost like a, well, that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go do it this way. This makes more sense. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm going to find what works right for me. And then, it wasn't until I was working with a coach who was like, no one else is doing this, right? And it's at that point I'm 7 years into my journey and I'm like, well, I just kind of figured someone out there was already doing it. So she was the one that kind of encouraged me to like, no, you need to put this out there because people need to see this. Because I didn't think it was anything special for the longest time until I worked with her and her, Helena.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked with Helena Means Business. That's where she was kind of like, no, Bryce,
I
too
can
many.
hear her in my head. Like I can
No,
hear what she
right.
probably sounded like doing that. Love her.
Yeah, so and then that's where it kind of all started to come to me like, oh, this makes sense. And oh, wait, and then when I was trying to come up for the name with this method, because I originally was going to call it the finger method,
Well, maybe not the best.
but it was all that was logically making sense in my brain at the time. And then it was Helena who was like, Bryce, like your business name Unstripped, like just call it after your business name. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then when I actually thought about it, I'm like, wait, well, yeah, you are taking the strip off the tray.
Yeah.
So
It
we're
makes sense, like logically.
unstripping it, so but she was a big part in my journey of like helping you realize like
I'm sorry, I can't get over the original name.
well, even
I
when I
love it.
spoke at Lash Boss Summit about it, Jamie from Lash Base,
Yeah.
I think that stuck in his head too. So he kind of said that on stage, like the finger method. And I was like, well, you know what? It's going to make people remember it. It's fine.
Yay, it's memorable. That's what we like. It's good
Yeah.
marketing,
So,
right?
but to
I love
clarify,
it.
it's the Elmsford method.
Unstripped method. Yes, that's the name for it. Don't let me confuse you.
But no, yeah, she was a big help in like just kind of realizing a lot of like my why and a lot of my reasoning behind even anything because unstripped was kind of just also in its I know I'm kind of hoping I'm still answering your question but
Oh, go right into it.
yeah, but
Completely.
unstripped was basically like my sister thought of that name because I remember when I was first opening the salon I was sitting on the floor of her bedroom like throwing out like lash this or what about this name and this name and then we're both just kind of like no, no, and then I was like stripped something and then she was the one like, well, what about unstripped? And then kind of both of us were like, I was like, I really like it, but when you look up the definition it doesn't actually make sense, but I like it, so let's go with that. you
All
know
right.
because I was just sitting there for so long. I'm like, I have to come up with a business name. I just signed a lease. But now that I look back on it and I've kind of found the meaning later, it really truly does mean so much more to me. And I think can resonate with other women when you hear the deeper side of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, what I mean, we've been hinting at it like the whole episode, so we might as well just finally address this elephant in the room. Like,
Yes.
so if you can tell us a little bit about, or a lot of it about however much you feel comfortable with, like the story behind this and like what deeper meaning it has for you at this point.
Yes. So, and like I said, trigger warning, but
Yes.
I like to share this story now that I am 10 years into my healing journey. And I'm going to start this by saying that you are never actually healed, and that's okay. You're going to have moments that hit you like a brick in the face, and they're going to come and surprise you. And then you got to kind of process it again, go through those feelings again. I've experienced that many times, but I'm at the point now in my journey where I want to share it, and I want to use my business because I've built this business and I want to use it as a way to help other women in whatever way that I can. So, kind of how I was saying, she helped me realize the meaning behind Unstripped is that when I look back onto my journey, every step that I took, that we talked about, I started at the chain salon. I started then, I left there finally and went into the renting a station. That got toxic for me. I went and opened the salon. So every step was almost, and I can almost kind of feel that it was as if I was crawling myself out of a hole, just a little bit further each time. And what made me realize that, and I'll say this by saying that when I was 18 and I was in beauty school about to graduate, was when, that story goes, you meet a guy, you think he's a good one, he catches you off guard, right? And for the longest time, I wasn't able to admit that I was a survivor of rape. But after years of therapy, finally realizing that, no, that was. And that's where it's not so black and white all the time, is sometimes you think in your head, like, oh, well, I had some part in this maybe, or maybe if I wouldn't have done that, then it wouldn't have happened, or blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. So then you feel like you can't classify yourself in that category. And then the truth of the matter is that it was, and it's okay to admit that it was, because one of my stories was that there was that part of the story. And then there was about a year after, and I won't dive too much into this, but there was about a year after of more physical trauma with my own emotional self, if that makes sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
trauma that I caused to myself because I couldn't get past
Like
the initial one.
all of the emotions and
That's all of the emotions,
yeah.
the physical side of like what was left from the incident, and trying to process those and different things. And then not even 6 months later, after the initial incident, then I was robbed at gunpoint. And
Bryce.
yeah,
Oh my God.
years old. Now I do live in I live in the Bay Area, right?
Okay.
So you hear a lot about like the Oakland area, different things. I'm about 45 minutes from Oakland, San Francisco, but it does kind of, and this one, I try not to put too much pressure because like, yeah, probably I shouldn't have been in a park at night with my friends,
Yeah, but you should,
Talk into
I
that one.
mean,
But at
you
the same
think you could
time,
be at a park and not, that shouldn't happen,
you think you're invincible at that age too. And now it was me and my friend wasn't as triggered by the whole thing as I was, but I actually was the one that had the gun on my chest. So it gets intense, right? And so then it's just trying to heal from all of that, trying to start at a new job, which is the chain salon, and thinking like, okay, well, this is a start. Like I can distract myself a little bit with this work. And I got really into the actual work because I could zone out while I was doing lashes and completely forget about everything
That
else.
was what I was gonna say.
Yeah. And I say that because I always think this is like a really weird tidbit, but maybe this can resonate with someone, is that when I've always been a creative person. So right before all this happened, I used to hand paint lighters. It's just like a little hobby,
Yeah.
like a fun thing. I would hand paint lighters, or like I would make homemade Christmas presents and different things. And when I was robbed, that was kind of like, of course, I had like all of my favorite ones in my purse with me.
Oh,
And it was just one of those little things that like you lose that little, like I've already lost so much and now you just took one more thing from me. What's the point of being creative anymore? Kind of thing.
mm,
And then
yeah.
that's where lashes came into play. And it was like, okay, no, I can get behind this. Like
Just-
I'm using my hands, I can get creative, I can zone out and I can forget and different things. And that kind of leads to like when the journeys at that salon became so toxic, it was just kind of like heaviness that I didn't need, when
Yeah.
I'm at my best, and I was going to doctor's appointments and having to call out. I mean, it gets dark, but like I remember sitting there in the Kaiser parking lot having a panic attack, having to call out of work because I'm supposed to be there in 10 minutes and sitting there. Why the hell did you book this appointment right before you're supposed to go to work when you knew you were going to get triggered? But, and then my bosses are asking my coworkers, what's her health situation? Also illegal, by the way. You're not supposed to ask that. But
Right.
so it was just like a lot of like mess, and that's where it just all kind of ties into this giant lump sum of stuff that every opportunity I created for myself became me crawling out of that hole a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I do like to say that you have to be careful because I almost use work as a vice for a really long time that I would put off. I didn't go to therapy until like probably 4 years later when I should have done it right away. But I was using lashes as my therapy. And I was using creating my own business as my therapy, different things along those lines. And don't follow in that footstep. That's like some advice I can give because you are actually not healing. You're just burying in those moments. And that's where like those little moments come up every so often that you get hit by a pile of bricks.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, I thought I healed. And it's like, no, you didn't. But you can tell I kind of use some humor now as part of it. But
Yeah, I feel like you kind of have to.
kind of have to a little bit. And I don't know. It's just now that I look back on what unstripped, like unstripped was the final step for me, I think. Like I always had this dream, like I want to open my own
Hmm.
salon and I want to, and I think it was fueled by the fire under my ass of like, no, you're gonna heal and you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be okay one day and you're gonna have all these dreams come true for you. So when I finally opened it, it was just this kind of feeling of like, wow, I'm empowered and I look at what I did. I'm only 21 years old and like
Yeah.
he can't take that from me. You know what I mean? Like I did this. No one can take this from me but myself. And he's like, it was just kind of like that reminder of like, yeah, a lot was taken from me, but I took myself back right now. And it kind of ties into the whole like now I say the terms like unstrip yourself and unstrip your technique or reclaim yourself, so that's kind of now that I do look back, it's looking back at that you can take yourself back from your past and that those things don't define you anymore. What those people did to you isn't you. It's going to be a part of your story always. You're always going to be remembered, or you're always going to remember things and things are going to pop up, but it doesn't define who you are at all.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. Bryce, you're giving me full body chills there, girl. Like I'm so proud of you. Like, and just to like look at you now, like I'm gonna cry. Sorry, I'm a crier. Like it's just really cool to see, how that story unfolded for you and like cuz now you're engaged and you have this really awesome fiance who's super funny and like like just
He's
like
like
a
my
he
my
seems
armor
like
support.
yeah, like he seems just like a genuinely good guy. Like I got to meet him at LashCon
Mhm.
and you have your salon and the unstripped method and all these things and like you've used this terrible thing that should never happen to anybody and been able to turn it into something not turn it into something amazing for yourself, but you've used it to like
Almost
fuel
like,
yourself for better.
yeah, feel yourself, and then it's something that's mine.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like you said, no one can take that from you.
Yeah, and I'm the one responsible for it, of course, and I can take it for myself if I make mistakes, but it's just that little empowerment of knowing like I created this and I made this and no one can do that. And then now it's like now I'm venturing into the other side of things where how can I use my business to like I've gone through those steps. I've
Yeah.
climbed that ladder out of that hole. And how can I share this with other women now, whether it be through that you work with me or you're my client? I want my clients to feel that safeness when they're in my salon. I want my staff to feel like they're safe in their work environment, to feel like I'm not going to punish them or, anything that like
Yeah.
put my frustrations out on them. Because it doesn't fuel anything. It doesn't help anyone. And then on top of that, like now how can I use the resources I've built to give back further, which is why like last year I did the domestic and sexual violence fundraiser. You know,
Mhm.
we only raised 5,000, but hey, it's still 5,000 to go
Don't
to.
even say only. That's incredible,
I
Bryce.
was hoping for 30,000 though.
Yeah, but you know what? That's still really cool. That's $5,000 that they didn't have before. And like that
Exactly.
probably made such a huge difference.
Yeah, and not just that, then I had the donation of a 4-day permanent makeup scholarship to a survivor,
Cool.
and I set her up with the salon that I used to work at, um,
Oh, awesome.
hair salon, and she was kinda working there for a minute, and she just actually told me a few weeks ago that she got her own suite, and it's this beautiful, like,
That's
4-window
awesome.
suite, so I know that, like, I took part in her journey, which is super amazing, and that whole entire 4-day training was just, like, tears flowing
I was
and,
gonna
like
say that has to be such a good feeling because obviously you know how she's felt and like or
Mhm.
had similar experiences. Yeah, that's really, really cool.
So it's like, how can I keep doing that? And now, like, I just recently announced 10% of all tweezer sales are going to be going to a shelter here. They're literally like 15 minutes away from where I live, but they're a women's shelter. They do support also homeless as well, like, but primarily they only support women and children from domestic violence situations, sexual violence situations, and homelessness. So just that I can give back to my local community through sales that I create from my business that it's just it all kind of just ties together and it feels good and I'm not done, I want to keep
Yeah.
doing more of those things. And it's like I hate to like kind of like sometimes you almost think too like am I being a pick me girl, in a way. I was telling my man that like I feel like I'm gonna pick me girl, but it's
No.
also like I think no one in our industry talks about this.
No. When I think a lot more women can resonate with it than who are
Hmm.
going to openly share that, and that's absolutely valid. But you have to know that like you're making such a big difference and like making an impact, even if you can't
See
see
it.
it right now, or even if you don't know it right now, like you are making a huge difference in the industry by speaking up about it. One of the things that my therapist told me once is like situations like this or other, traumas in your life when you have those things that happen, it's kind of like a wound that's always going to stay with you. And sometimes it's going to fester up more than others, but it's something that you can continue to heal and like let it strengthen you almost. You can use it to as a how did she word it? I'm trying to remember. It was a while back, but basically that you can use this as part of your it's always going to be a part of you. It's always going to be part of your story, but you can use it as something to like build and pull strength from and be able to help others with it, which I feel like is exactly what you're doing with your story. And that's not being a pick me girl. That's like just I don't know, that you're being vulnerable and I think that vulnerability can be a strength more often than not.
Yeah. And it's like I'm doing it because I see what I was able to do for myself. And in the beginning, I had the support of my mom and sister, but I didn't let them into what was happening until at least like 8 months later. Because you get embarrassed. You get like, I can't tell anyone,
Yeah.
like, was this my fault? I don't know, So for a while there, I was dealing with it completely on my own. And then it wasn't until I brought them in that it was like, okay, it's a little bit better. But I'm still gonna be up in the bedroom for a year straight, basically doing I don't even honestly, like, the sad thing is I don't even really totally remember that entire year of my life. I just look back and it's just like a blur. But that's what the reality is like that kinda happens, and then ever so slowly time goes on and you start to slowly heal, but, like, the best advice I could give, like, is, deal with it head on right after it happens and don't bury it.
Yeah, which
Um,
I'm sure is easier said than done, but yeah.
Easier said than done. But yeah, it's just one of those things that yeah, it's not gonna be easy, it's going to be a struggle, but like if I can help people through that who are maybe not 10 years later, but maybe 1 year later, and they are still in that position that they need to be kind of that they're digging themselves out, like how can I be that support for them? You
Yeah.
know?
You're amazing. Like seriously, and where you were talking about throwing yourself into lashing and stuff, I feel like it sometimes, which my situation wasn't the same as yours, but a different type of like childhood trauma and things. Not to like compare or anything, but like when you were I can relate with throwing yourself into lashing and working and stuff, and it was a way of like dissociating and not having to deal with those emotions or those traumas or those pains. And it doesn't like you're not really able to heal because of that, like just because you shove it away. And it's like you kind of have to like deal with it and feel it. Like you said, you gotta deal with it head on. And I think the thing about it is it's not the easy thing to do. It's not the easy choice to make, but it's obviously the way that's gonna help you in the long term and be able to start that healing process. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, yeah, it's just every step that you make. I mean, I'm proud to say too, like when was it? There was like another Me Too movement not too long ago around COVID or right before COVID or something. But during that time, I was like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, I'm done. Like I'm going to put his name out there. I don't care. I'm going to put it out there for the people that know me directly. And I did that. And it was actually pretty wild that through that process, one, I silenced him completely. He ghosted the internet completely. And I knew that because it's like I could have been blocked, right? But it was about 10 other women who reached out to me and were like, thank you so much because I have the same story with him. I don't
Oh
have the
my
to
gosh.
get that out there, but they were like, you have shut him up. So thank you. And that was just like one of those, like, that's why I did it. Cause, and I even had Michael, my man, like he was there when I did it, cause he was fully
My
supportive.
man.
I know,
I
right?
love that.
I got so
I love
lucky.
that for you. And you guys are
Uh,
so cute.
he was there like when I did that and he was fully by my side on that. And when I saw that other women were reaching out after the fact, it was like, okay, I needed to do that because it helped them because he did the same thing to them.
I mean, that's so shitty, but that had to have been so validating of like, because where you're trying to like gaslight yourself into like, oh, this was my fault. Oh, that that had to have been so validating in a sense of just like, okay, this wasn't just me. This was valid. This was what it was. Like, yeah, wow, that's crazy.
Validating and empowering. And it's like, yeah, I shut you up.
Yeah, I love that for you.
Because it's like you shouldn't be wanting revenge, but you're gonna want revenge. It's normal. You're gonna want some kind of, God forbid I ever see him. I don't know how I'd respond now, but like I've always said I would like want to break his nose, but I also don't want an assault charge. So
That's
at
besides
this
the
point too,
point.
I even look now and I'm 10 years past and look at what I've built. Like, is that even worth it? No. Because
Yeah.
that's so far, like it's always going to be there, but it's so far gone. And I have made myself into such an empowering woman that I am proud to be because of almost what he did to me. And I hate to like give thanks in that weird way, but like I
Yeah.
don't know where I would be without that trauma. Maybe I'd still be naive. I don't know. It's hard to say. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's like kind of almost shaped you into who you are and like that
yeah.
resilience that you built through that. Yeah, I mean, it's a shitty way to learn all of that, but I mean, it's cool to see that what you've created out of that because there's definitely a lot of different ways that can go when you go through traumas like that. And it's like there's all kinds of different routes you can take, and you've, like you said, dug yourself out of that hole and done some pretty incredible things with it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah. And I hope that this can like at least help someone out there who's listening, that I know for a fact I'm not alone in that. Whether you can be,
Yeah.
whether you relate this to childhood trauma or other relations of trauma or domestic violence, sexual violence, all those things, like
Yeah.
you are not alone. And, we're in this lash industry together. We're a very supportive side of our beauty industry. I think I like to hope that we all are. And like, you can find support in your fellow lash artists. You can find support in your community. You don't have to sit there behind that chair doing it alone and burying yourself into the lashes trying to forget all your problems. Like
Yeah.
you can find people to talk to. And like I think if I just hope it helps mainly.
It will. I'm like absolutely sure of that. And I know those things aren't always easy to like share. So I just want to say thank you for like being willing to be vulnerable and open up, because I do think that that's how we are able to really come together and connect together and be
Mhm.
supportive of each other and actually really create like a strong community within our industry. And, it's just cool. And it's cool to see because I think a lot of the world thinks of lash extensions as just a silly thing, right? Like we know the difference that we make every day, but just to see it's like this the difference that it makes in lash artists' lives, like this way of, I don't know, I'm like trying, how do I explain what's in my head? Like this vehicle of how we can better our lives as lash businesses, right? This is what's helping us get from whatever, I don't know, for myself, I call it my broken version of myself to, point B or, the whole journey along the way, not necessarily like there's ever any end point, but like the difference that it can make in your life and the healing journey that being in the lash industry can be is pretty profound, I think. At least it has been in my life.
Yeah, it's been very empowering. And then I've been able to open up even to some clients about it. Like when I was putting on the fundraiser last year, it allowed them the space to feel like they were like, oh wow, yeah, I didn't know that. And then they start telling me about their story. And then we kind of have that like deeper connection of like that safe space for them. Because it's like clients are always telling us their deepest, darkest secrets and stuff. And it's up to us to create that safe environment. But it's like if we can also, it's okay to be vulnerable with in certain aspects, keep
Yeah.
professional, but find your lash sister, find your lash bestie, and find someone to be vulnerable with because it is healing. Every time you share the story or your story, it's also healing.
Yeah.
It's one less thing he can take from me, but
Hmm.
you're down there, you're gone. Like, I own this story. That's mine,
Yeah.
also too. So it's just if you kind of look at it in that perspective also.
Yeah, I love that. You've really found your voice with it and are making such a big difference. So I appreciate you being willing to share all of that. And so, with that, do you have any other insights or advice or anything for anyone who might be listening today who maybe is struggling a bit right now?
I mean, I guess I would just say like, don't be afraid to challenge your own self in the midst of your healing. Don't forget that you have a voice, you have empowerment that is maybe undiscovered yet, but is waiting to be. And yeah, just take yourself back. Don't let your past force you into hiding in a hole anymore because that you don't belong there. You belong
Yeah,
out in the sunshine,
absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. We've got this one beautiful life.
Mhm.
It's so hard because there's hard things that happen in life, but, try not to let that, like you're saying, like hold you back. And you've got this big, beautiful life that you can live.
Yeah. And find those little things that you can hold on to, I think too is important.
Yeah.
Whether that be family or just I brought up the lighters,
Yeah.
I ended up painting one again a few years later and I was just like, yeah, look at that, I did
I love
it.
it. I feel like that's probably so detail oriented too. Like when you first said that, I'm like, oh, that makes sense that she would like doing that because like lashing's so detail oriented. I'm sure that's detail oriented. Seems like right up your alley.
But it's like if you have that thing that maybe was taken from you, like try giving it another chance,
Yeah.
that it was so empowering to just be like, yeah, look at that, I did it again and I enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
find the little things add up to so much bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So tell us where they can find you online. Where can they connect with you at?
Yes. So you can find me I primarily put all like academy training tweezers and stuff onto my Instagram academy page, which is _stripped.academy, both on Instagram and TikTok. And
Okay.
then the site is undashstrippedlbb.com, which is where you can find the unstripped method training and the strip tease tweezers. Will be coming out soon, hopefully, with two more renditions of the collection.
That's
So,
exciting.
but
Yay.
the teas took me 2 years, so give me some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I know I was trying to find the code that I gave you.
I
Like,
think it's just Lash Biz Babes in all caps, all one word. At least that's the one you sent me. So if that's still accurate.
Lashes Babes for $50 off on the Unstripped Method training class. It comes with you can either do a self-paced online portion or it can be a one-on-one 2-hour Zoom call with me where we can kind of deep dive together and do like a live fan with me.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. I was watching you actually like teach people at LashCon and like you did your demo booth and you did your little mini one-on-ones. And I feel like that was really beneficial for the people too, because they
Yeah,
could get the feedback and you were able to help them make the little adjustments and really learn like the 1, 2, 3 movements and get those down pat. And I mean, everyone that I saw that learned it that weekend, by the end of the weekend, they were doing it pretty well. And like obviously you got to keep practicing it and stuff, but like totally killing it after doing like the one-on-ones with you. So I think that would for sure be absolutely worth it on
definitely. Yeah,
that.
the 2 hour one-on-one Zoom session is definitely what I would recommend for the most if you really want to like deep dive and really have like those motions corrected. Unless you are like a very visual learner, then the self-paced would be great, but
Okay.
they're both the same price. So
I love that. So really quick, tell us a few of the benefits of what difference is switching to this method gonna make in their business for them?
I was originally like putting it out there as one of the faster, and yes, it is one of the faster method. It's not the fastest, but the main thing is that you don't have to perform any extra steps. You get the snatch base ready to go. You just dip it and you apply. I would say another thing is you don't have to twist your back anymore to like go over to a lash tile if you're like a flower bouqueter. Because the base is already snatched, you can just go ahead and just kind of dip it and not pay too much attention to how you're dipping it, which is beneficial. So ergonomically, it's in my opinion a lot better. My hands and wrists have never hurt me. My back does just because I like have to get really close to my clients for some odd reason.
Don't we all?
Right? Like all our backs are, it's fine. But my hands and wrists have never hurt. So I would say it's just another tool in your tool belt. If you're someone who has struggled with all the other fanning methods out there, and maybe you're stuck on the ProMades, or you're just kind of wanting to have something to add to your arsenal when you have those hard days and maybe pinching isn't working for you, then it's just another option.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I always told my last students was like, I always encourage them like learn because I think I taught like 3 or 4 different fanning methods in my volume class because I'm like, I want you to have different ways to do this. I call it different tools in your tool belt that you can utilize when you need to because you never know. Like, I don't know. For me, I'm like, I never want to depend on like a sticky bubble thing or, like that method. Because then what if you don't have one? Then how are you going to fan, right? Or if it's not working out well, you run out, whatever else, like I don't know, I feel like it's really beneficial to have all like different methods that you're able to do. And like depending on the client, maybe it's easier to do it for specific clients. And I don't know, that's just always how I looked at it. It's always good to have different skills readily available to use like this.
And that's another thing like I include in both training options is all of my speed lashing techniques as well too. So you're getting, a deep dive on multi-isolation, skeleton creation, spoolie lift, depth perception, like how to kind of find your speed mentality and different things like that, because those are all just other tools that you can use on those days where you need to be a little faster. Just little things, to have in your back pocket, essentially.
I love that. Cool. Well, yes, so use code LashBizBabes at checkout for $50 off of either one of those. And other than that, thank you so much for coming on today.
So much. It was a pleasure.